Okay, if a cop's off duty, is he still legally obligated to fight crime on his off day? Well, that is one of the issues in the case of the biker gang assault trial. An undercover cop who was with the gang when they assaulted a family 2 years ago, as I said, broad daylight on the west side. Well, he's on trial now, this cop. Not allegedly, he's accused of gang assault. He says he was deep undercover and off duty when it all happened. He also says he fled the scene because he was afraid. Didn't have his badge, didn't have his gun. Okay. First off, a couple other facts for the conversation. Never bothered to call anybody when he was fleeing to say, by the way, guys get to the scene, they're doing whatever else. He never made an attempt to say, yo, guys, back off here or whatever else. But the more broader question, may I start with you? And maybe it's not just a cop. Let's say it's an EMT, okay? Coming home and a guy's on the street here with palpitations or whatever, right? Or firefighters walking by on a Sunday when he's not working and this house is on fire. At the very minimum, do they have a greater obligation than you or me as civilians, right, in terms of, at the minimum, reporting the crime and trying to use their expertise here to help the situation and whether it be the safety or security of the people at peril?
Well, the three of us were former prosecutors, and when we were prosecutors, you were a prosecutor 24 hours a day. You didn't have a period of time where you say, okay, I'm off duty because the job,
so
the day
if you
is
saw a
over.
crime on the weekend and you weren't on duty, it was your obligation, not just your moral, but your job obligation to report it.
Absolutely. However, in this case, it's a bit different because in this case, he's an undercover officer. You probably gain much more by him not actually trying to dissuade these guys. And you got to
okay,
also
let's
look
be clear.
back.
He wasn't undercover working at the time. The Nimrod was riding with these guys on the weekend because, by all accounts, he was an idiot like these guys. Now, he didn't beat him, the guy in the car that's getting, both the helmet through the window and the rest, but he also didn't lift a finger, and he decided to hop on his bike and just flee.
Except, again, for him, part of his job, he may not have been getting paid hourly for that, but part of being undercover with them or with the organized crime is that you go where they go, you do what they do. They have a barbecue, you're there. If you're not there, they're going to say, hey, where the heck is he? So that's still part of his job. The other thing is that the video shows that, look, the driver of the truck ran somebody over and nearly killed that person. Now, arguably, he had a duty to stop and help that person as well. But I think that to suggest that this guy, after their friend got crushed under this truck, was going to be able to stop this group of guys is fantasy. There's no way he was going to stop that anyway.
He should have made an obligation to call.
He should have absolutely called. That part, I grant you.
But did he have a legal obligation within the purview of his employment?
I think that
he has the same obligation we have.
I think he has the same obligation we had, but there may have been. Certainly the best practice would have been to make that phone call, but probably not a legal obligation.
You're a doctor on a plane, Doug Van Oist, man of mystery here, and a person, either a woman's going to labor, a person's having a seizure. Can you just kick your feet up in first class and say, not my problem, I'm not on the clock?
Yes, absolutely. The line of cases look like this. If you do nothing, you can't be held responsible. If you create a duty, say somebody falls down, you start administering CPR, and then you say, you know what, I really don't want to do this, I want to go home. Now you've created a duty, and you could be held liable.
Does that, yeah.
You think of it as a police officer has somebody in the back of their car, it's a very cold evening, they get another call that's very serious, police officer down, they take that person who now they've driven out into an isolated area, they say, you got to get out of the car, I got to go take this call, and that person freezes to death. Well, there could be liability there because they've now created a duty to that person through their actions.
But there's a different kind of job, Jimmy, than making widgets and taking a job and an oath to protect and serve. If you're a doctor, more than do no harm, you're supposed to, preserve life at every opportunity. Don't certain jobs carry certain oaths that are different than, a guy, working at a factory or picking up trash or something else? I mean... Absolutely,
but you said, you put it perfectly. You can violate an oath, but not be violating a crime. So a doctor may have taken that oath, what would give him that responsibility on that airplane to do something. It doesn't mean he has a legal duty. It doesn't mean he's committing a crime by not doing it, which is, same situation as you have here with this officer.
Okay, except one thing. This officer, as again, the idiots in that film decided to record the whole thing, not for another day, but the video showed them intentionally creating bottlenecks of traffic on the road. They created a dangerous environment here. They coordinated with one another. This wasn't an unplanned thing. And then they harassed and menaced many drivers, including that car, which eventually panicked. There was a wife and a kid in the car, and the four of us, I defy any of us to say that we'd be calm and kicking our feet back here where 50 bikers were threatening us, right? And then being a part of that environment, all of a sudden somebody's getting a beat down and you get on your bike and flee without even a call?
Well,
Come on.
Because you shouldn't be there, and you're a cop.
Right,
so
and this is
that's
your
what this is
off-duty
about.
time.
That's right.
But again, I go back to he's undercover. That's what he's there to do. They're not Boy Scouts. He's not going with these guys to learn how to tie
I think
a
it's pretty
particular
clear he
knot.
came
These
this
guys are-
weekend because he wanted to ride with them.
And
right?
that could be true too. But
This
again,
wasn't like
undercover officers engage in things that would shock the conscience. They use drugs. They have sexual intercourse with people, all as part of the duty. You can't say, "Hey, I'm not going to do this," because if you stop there, you're not credible anymore in your role.
But he
think we're
is
giving him a
beating the
lot of
truck.
benefit of the
But
doubt.
he is beating the truck with his helmet. I mean, that's what he's
don't
on
think-
trial.
Okay. Larry's yelled at me 3 times now. That means I better shut up.
gonna
Okay.
take that?
Yes, I am. We are going to get you involved in this debate here. Head over to Facebook and Twitter and answer our question here tonight. Do undercover cops still have a responsibility to protect and serve even when they're not on the clock? All right, coming up next. If you post Facebook messages threatening to kill your wife or shoot up a classroom, is that illegal? Well, this isn't a hypothetical. In fact, this has gone all the way to the Supreme Court, and they've just ruled on a case that's answering this very question, and its decision may surprise you. It surprised me.